Hi everyone. So I'm excited to be doing another live because it feels like it's been forever since I've done one. And I am, just a little nervous because first off, I rearranged my room and I don't know where the lighting is. Like I don't know how to capture myself and not look so crazy. So if all of a sudden it's super bright like this versus super dark like that, just ignore me as I try to kind of adjust accordingly. But thanks, guys. I mean, I see so many of you popping in, and that makes me so nervous all the time. I meant to write out a bunch of things I wanted to talk about, but I feel like I just speak so much better from the heart. So I'm just gonna kind of wing it, and whenever it tells me to stop talking, I will. I wanted to do a live today because I took a little bit of a break from doing my weekly newsletters, doing my weekly blog for just, anybody, and then also for my estheticians. And I feel like I did a good job explaining as to why I needed to do that, but I also kind of want to recap now that I'm kind of at that ending point, or at least that ending point that I had determined when I wanted to take the break. I want to be able to, just kind of recap why I decided to take the break, what I learned from the break, and what I want to do with the business moving forward. Because as many of you know, I started Therapeutic Skin Coach just sort of by needing to. I had shingles and needed to quit my job as an esthetician in a spa in West Hollywood 4 years ago, like almost to the day 4 years ago. It was like October of 2014, so we're getting there. But I had been taking clients from home just because, I had moved to LA and just met clients here and there at different jobs, and not every single one could afford the new space I'd be at, or they just didn't like the location, their hours didn't align. And my husband and I always just thought, well, why don't I just take 1 to 2 clients from home? I had a massage table where I would have people lay down and literally would just pull products from my my own back bar at home, my products in my medicine cabinet, and I would just do something kind of intuitive that felt right. And it was nice to kind of experiment with what I would like to do as a protocol, as opposed to following the sequence that was handed out for me. So when I ended up getting shingles and just having a really hard time recovering in my nervous system and my joint pain, and also my endocrine system, because my adrenals were completely fatigued, it was like, okay, well, here I am. Here's my opportunity. I'm just going to go ahead and do this now because people are asking me to do it. And so it has just sort of grown since then. And there's just so much that I didn't know to do along the way. I think generally when people start their own businesses, they have a business plan, they have a budget, they have a team, or maybe not a team, but they have people to help guide them along the way. I've had a lot of just incredible friends and angels kind of guide me, in the sense of I would meet a client who would just give me the idea of, why don't you try this, or why, if you want help with this, I can do that. And I did a lot of trading. My website and my blog was started because one of my now dear friends, whom I had met at an event, said, I would be happy to trade with you if you want me to create you a website. And I really think, just through your email correspondence, you have a voice, so why don't you start a blog? And so without thinking much about it, I just started blogging and then learned how to create a newsletter. And it quickly became one of my most favorite parts of my job, of my week. But, cut to 3+ years later, I found that my following grew, my business grew, and I still didn't have some of those basic pieces of my business put together. And just because the shingles had gone away, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of my health issues were perfect at that point either. I just felt as though I was kind of always running on empty, And so at the end of last year, I just started setting some really direct boundaries. And I think most of it has to do with the fact that I started, well, first off, I turned 30. And I think the second you turn 30, everything you don't give a shit about just all of a sudden goes out the window. You're like, I don't want to necessarily invest my energy in things that are going to be draining to me or don't feel good to me. So I kind of started just slicing things off my plate. But when you create a lot of that space, especially for somebody like me, it can quickly refill back in, because I am a generator of sorts. If any of you know human design, I'm a manifestor generator. So I can just do endless tasks. I can always create more. But if it's not something that I'm super passionate about, or if it's something that I just feel like I have to do for somebody, it'll really wear me out. So, cut to beginning of the year, I just kept getting these awesome opportunities that were just filling up this space that I thought that I had created for myself and my self-care. And then, a couple months in, I'm realizing like, okay, no, all of this has gotten refilled back in with things I love. But at the same time, am I monetizing my time correctly? Am I doing things for free a little too much? Like saying yes to certain events, saying yes to working on an influencer, saying yes to, writing a blog for free. Like it just, all of it kind of felt like, what am I gaining out of this? And I will save this and you can watch it later. Don't you worry. What am I gaining out of this? Because I love sharing what I know, but at the same time, I'm barely giving myself the opportunity to really put in a lot of time to educate myself. And to nurture myself. So I started to find myself getting exceptionally triggered by clients, triggered by family, friends, people just asking me questions. I'm like, what do you need from me? And that's not necessarily the type of person that I am. I don't want to be snappy or snippy or not feel as though I can give somebody what they're looking for. But it gave me an opportunity to just be like, okay, well, what can I just stop? What can I stop and reevaluate? And as much as I loved doing the blogs and as much as I love creating content, I'm like, this is something that does take up a fair amount of time. And if I can just pause and really kind of reestablish what I need on a daily basis, maybe this will help me tap into my creative fuel again, where I don't feel so frustrated with work. Because one of the biggest epiphanies that I had was I'm the boss. Therapeutic Skin Coach is me. So why am I allowing everything of this business to overwhelm me? Because it's basically me overwhelming myself. There's really no reason for that. And then that kind of led me to deeply, go a little bit deeper into the why. And it's because I was allowing others to dictate the direction of their facials, of their outcome, of my time, and just sort of kind of not following my core values and not allowing myself to set deep enough boundaries with myself along with others. So, it's been really interesting to kind of reflect back on where the business is at and where I am hoping it will go. And along that sort of timing where I was just kind of allowing myself to think on what is important to me for the business, it helped me kind of see that first off, I work from home, as many of you know, so a lot of my business stuff will bleed into my personal stuff. And when I don't have space between the two, even though they're just extensions, this business is such an extension of my being, I still need to have a clear break so that when I'm resting with my husband and resting with my puppy, I'm able to just not overthink and over complicate my downtime with what I should be doing. And that word is so triggering to me. I try to be so mindful in the way I speak to others when I say that, even though they're actually asking me for what they should be doing. I don't love using that language towards others, because at the end of the day, you know what's best for you, and I know what's best for me. So I was trying to just kind of give myself the opportunity to look to see what that means. And a couple things come up. One is that I don't think I've ever really established the core values of Therapeutic Skin Coach. And I think that I come from an industry that can be really, really painful in terms of how I get treated. Like, for the majority of my career, I have been treated like the help. I've been treated as if I don't really have an opinion on the service I provide, but I better be willing to provide it and provide it really well. So that means I'm constantly like feeling like I'm below everybody else, and if I don't give the best treatment of my life to every single person, then I've failed. So it's a lot of discovering how my work is an extension of some low self-worth. So, there's that aspect of me who wants to be a giver and nurture people, but it was making me feel less than if I wasn't able to provide the feedback and the result that they were looking for. So when I would get an email saying my skin's still breaking out, I would take it really personally, because I just felt like, but I've given you everything. I've given you all of me, and you breaking out, like you having your own experience with so many layers of your health that we've probably not even spoken about yet or dove into yet, it really just would affect me on a visceral level. Like, I couldn't shed it, and I would just feel it in my tissue. I would feel it in my body. And I mean, it's no wonder I have so many physical symptoms like nonstop bloating, fibroids, and then the shingles, and then I'll get hives every once in a while, or I just get massive brain fog to the point where somebody asks me a very simple question and I cannot come up with the words. The people who are closest to me see it the most, and they're like, you have a reoccurring pattern of this, of just allowing people to dive really deep into your soul, and you have to set boundaries because you're the boss. And they would tell me all this, and I never gave myself permission to be in charge of my own business, to be in charge of my own life, and to be able to separate the two so that I can enjoy each one for what they are, because I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to do what I want every day. But it didn't feel that way. It really didn't feel that way. So for the people who were able to kind of start their own entrepreneurial, business and manage their hours, I didn't feel like that. The hours were just getting booked because I'd get an email asking me to do something, and I'd figure out a way to make it happen within the hour, within the day. And every single person that asked for an appointment, I would find a way to shove them into the schedule. And funny enough, when I was talking to one of my team members, Julie, and we're kind of just assessing what our next steps would be, it dawned on me that it felt like I was having a lot of one-night stands. It felt like I was inviting people into my home because I work from home. So that's also very vulnerable for me, because my house always has to be clean. I have to monitor the dog, whom I love, and I knew that was going to be a big responsibility to get her, but she's so worth it. But still, after 2 to 3 facials in a day, she's over it. And literally, she'll come in here, and she peed twice the other day, and I'm like, you're not even allowed in here now. You're marking your territory. This is not going to work. So I feel like I give all of this. I allow people into bathroom, my living room, they play with my dog. They're in this room that is essentially my second bedroom. And sometimes I don't hear back from them, and it just hurts. And there needs to be a disconnection. And when I was working in spas, I would, like, not really think that much about it because I didn't handle the booking, I didn't handle the payment, I didn't handle anything but just that actual interaction. And if somebody wanted to come back, great. But if they didn't, it wasn't really that big of a deal. So now when somebody doesn't want to come back and I do every single thing to make it the most like luscious, beautiful experience that I can create, I feel a little used and abused. And on top of that, there's a lot of people whom I was getting just like wildly frustrated with, because I've written content on my website. I've created these online programs so that you can have that support. You can kind of become your own, skin coach. And I found that a lot of people were not following my directions and then blaming me when things would go awry. And then I would also find that I would give so much information and nobody would read it, or they would read a percentage of it, and then they would like seek help out later on. And I'm like, but we've already discussed this. So it's a lot of me repeating myself, and it's a lot of me just like feeling like people aren't listening. And I'm like, aren't I the esthetician? Didn't you pay me for my service? Didn't you come to me because you wanted my advice? Why aren't you hearing me? And part of that is alignment. Part of that is, we kind of have to just like go on that first date together, become, like acquainted to see if my values match your values, because if they do, and if we are in that alignment, then my guidance and my support will make sense to you. But I'm not conventional in the sense that I don't necessarily love to give skincare recommendations. Like I will, and that is kind of part of the program. That is kind of part of my protocol that I've cultivated. But at the same time, people like what they like, right? And I'm gonna use what I want to use because I feel safe with really carefully curated skincare that come from organic or wild crafted sources. I want to know that the earth wasn't harmed in putting together these formulations. I want to know that it's going to be safe for anybody that comes into the door, because I need that safety. I'm hoping to get pregnant at any point. So if I use something that feels unsafe to me, why would I use it to someone else? Let alone people who come to me and have crazy health issues. The majority of people that come in are having like these incredible health problems with just their hormones, and we're seeing it. We're like, wow, this is like really significant. And I've been doing this long enough to know that these problems are becoming worse. So people need the education. 10, 12 years ago, I'd have women that come in with hormonal imbalance, and gut imbalance, but it was not this frequent. And the amount of inflammatory skin conditions that I'm seeing is a direct correlation to our environment becoming polluted and our psyche becoming polluted by all of the outside influence telling us, these are the 3 things you need to buy. They're $300 a piece, and this is what you need to do. And I'm like, it's kind of shameful to the individual, and it quiets their intuition to know that like this, I like this product because it feels good, it smells good, it makes me feel great, and it works. Like that's how it feels. So I try to cultivate that intuitive practice instead of being somebody that just sort of pushes a product on you. Now, there are some people out there who are great with product sales, and they like kind of just get it right every time. They're like, this is what you're gonna like, this is what I suggest, and here's the sequence in which I want you to use it. But I've never been that person. I know ingredients, I know products, and I know people and I know skin, but sometimes merging the two, I'm kind of like, well, you're the one that's going to be using it. So why don't I give you some guidance and an outline, and you work with your budget, you work with your time, and you work with what you kind of just feel good with, and then we'll make it from there. That just feels better to me. That feels a lot more, for lack of a better word, intuitive. I know I use that word all the time, but it's just sort of, it makes the most sense for what I do. So, I don't want to be that person that just gives you like the 3 products you're supposed to use and that's it. I want to empower you to learn that your skin is in communication with you, and then if we can discover what's really going on, like, you're going to have better long-term skin health and results. Because as difficult as it is to have that conversation with somebody that, like, listen, I know that you're actually concerned about like these spots on your face, but what we really need to look at is a blood panel, or we need to look at to see like what your deficiencies are, because like we can scrub, exfoliate, extract, like laser, do all the things that you think conventionally is supposed to resurface enough where you have like clear, perfect skin. But honestly, like, that's taking away from some of the primary functions that our skin has, which is that communication of internal imbalance. And skin is really self-healing. Like, it's gonna just like heal itself. So if we just continue to honor it, listen to it, and just kind of learn what it's communicating with us, that's how we're gonna have the best long-term results anyways. So that's my philosophy and it's my theory, but I know it doesn't align with everybody, or I know that some people just aren't ready to hear it because it's very daunting. My online program, the first one I came out with a couple of months ago, the skin series, Skin Basics 101, it outlines a lot of those things, and I discovered that like that's a lot for people. And what some of you may not know is that program, the first kind of video series I did it because I was constantly rewriting like pages upon pages of notes for people, and finding that it was just the ultimate time suck, and it was just getting really frustrating for me to like repeat myself and rewrite the same things, to the point where I started kind of writing out some basic scripts. And when I wrote those scripts out, like 1 to 2 times I made mistakes, and then people would take all of my credibility away. And I'm like, listen, I do a lot, and I'm giving you way more than most estheticians will. So pardon my mistake, but don't neglect the information. Like, it's still valid. Let's just reassess this one part that I might have missed a sentence or two, So I'm like, all right, well, let's create this online platform where more people can then learn the basics of how I look at skin and what it's ultimately communicating with us, so then they feel empowered through their own intuition. That's been great. A lot of people have been doing the program. A lot of people have been giving me some awesome testimonials that they just like, they didn't know to align all of these things, but there's still a lot of hand-holding that needs to take place. And at the end of the day, like, I want to be able to do that, but what I think clients and, social media doesn't understand is that, like, I have laundry to do. I have, emails I gotta reply to. I have a team to manage. Every single post, every single thing on my website, I do all of it. So you asking me to repeat myself all the time when you could like just Google it on my website, like go through the search bar, or just look through the information I've already given you, like that would make things a lot easier, because I want you to solve your own problem. I mean, now that I'm saying it all out loud, like, it's kind of like how I was raised. My dad would be like, well, what do you think? Like, what do you think the answer is going to be? Like, kind of just guiding me to really, figure it out for myself, because at the end of the day, like, my parents weren't going to parent me until I was like an adult. They wanted me to be able to be self-sufficient, and that's what I want, because this industry has already been shameful enough where, God forbid we have a breakout, we just feel immediately like shit about ourselves. And that's not really what it is. That breakout is just telling you there's like a lowered immunity due to something. Now, what that something is, I'd love to be able to figure it out for you, and I can for the most part, but I'm not with you day to day. I'm not with my clients every second of every day. So I could be wrong. I'm just going off of what I see and what I think. But sometimes I have to hold myself back because I want to be like, well, did you really need to eat that? Like, and I don't want to create shame for people living their life. Like, I'm not perfect and I never will be perfect. There's never going to be a time in which I feel like, you know, I'm going to be the perfect example of health for people. I'm not the perfect example of anything because I'm still learning and growing. Now, I just want to be able to create that sort of intelligence for people, and it's not conventional and it doesn't work for everybody. And I've gotten enough feedback from people telling me that I'm too expensive or that I didn't get results for them fast enough. And like, I get it, I hear it, and I don't need you to tell me anymore because I've heard it enough. So if you want to work with me or if you're interested in my platform, I just needed to create some change. So the online series are part of that. They're part of that change. And the result that I have, or the feedback that I have received over the last couple months is that like I give way too much information really quickly. So it's kind of like that one night stand thing. I'm giving people too much too soon. I have to make them work for it. So I've scaled back a lot, and I've immediately seen a difference. If I give somebody 1 to 2 pieces of homework to work on and not just overshare all of the knowledge I have with them, those little seeds get planted and they start to feel as though like, okay, well, I've gotten this tiny result from making this small change. Maybe there's something here. Maybe there's more I can do. And then there isn't as much shame when one little thing goes wrong, because it's not like they made this big whole health change. They just made a small change. So there's still room for growth. And I'm really happy that now I've gathered that and I know that enough, because I think when I first started a couple years ago, I just was so closed off working in a spa where there was just no communication. I couldn't follow up with people. The best I could do was send them like a little like thank you card. And I was diligent about those because I felt that just was so, I wanted to share my gratitude for my clients for coming in and for giving themselves that self-care and acknowledging it, because maybe like that little reminder through the snail mail could be, you know, a reminder for them of how good that felt and how maybe they need to take that time again if they feel stressed out again. So I was just so blocked in communication that when I was like able to kind of just do whatever I wanted, I over communicated and I almost like overdid in my treatments too, where I would be like working on somebody for 2 hours. And that's not really ideal for anybody's skin. So it just kind of, there's been a lot of lessons for me in terms of like my personal boundaries and like how I want to cultivate a therapeutic skin coach experience. Now, with the blog, why I needed to take a time off of that is not because I don't love writing it. I really enjoy it. And I found that I just was this like content creator that would just, you know, come up with things to say out of nowhere. But I started to feel the tone of it getting frustrated as well. Frustrated the same way I was getting frustrated with my clients who were not respecting my boundaries and not hearing me, even though I was repeating myself a lot. So I found that I just needed to take a break to reevaluate like what's the message I wanted to say. And then when I did that, I realized there's a lot that I've already said. There's a lot already on here. There are articles, if you just like go through my website and on the search bar, click breakout or acne or skin health or whatever, hormonal, sun care, anything. there's usually like 5 to 10 articles on each topic. So why am I having to recycle this all the time when it's all kind of on there? Like, it's in a good place for me to have taken a break, and you can reevaluate some of those, or revisit some of those blogs and those videos and the content I already have done. Like, why do I have to keep creating more? But really, I want to create more. I want to continue to write because it's one of my passions. But you know, what I gain out of it needs to be, I feel like it needs to be reciprocated, where people will read it and they'll take something from it. And I know for the people who were just active subscribers and read my newsletter every Tuesday, and for the estheticians who were like super stoked on joining my esthetician blog, I'm going to continue to produce content, but I'm going to shift the way I was doing it for everybody, because I want it to be productive. I'm a Virgo. I want everything to be productive. I want everything to have a purpose. And so the new process that I'm going to start, and I'm not sure if I'm even going to start this week, or I know I'm not going to start next week because I'm going out of town, but sometime in the month of August, I am going to create a monthly theme newsletter. So it's going to be, you know, based off of whatever it is that I'm feeling and that I'm seeking, and that's just kind of resonating within my personal and professional life. And the newsletter will kind of just map out a lot of that theme. So it will reintroduce old posts. It will reintroduce new concepts, and it'll also kind of tie in everything that is of that therapeutic skin coach theme of empowering you with the knowledge so that you can navigate it on your own without overcrowding you. I want to just gently plant some seeds. And if I'm coming out with like really long, hefty articles once a week for 2 different blogs, I'm gonna just get resentful again if people start to not read it or they ask me to repeat concepts again. So instead, I just want to do one a month, one big concept, one major theme, and you know, pin a lot of the things I've already done and weave it into this like beautifully crafted newsletter for you. So, you know, it'd be really interesting for you guys to DM me what your major themes are. But another thing I've done during this time off is I've utilized a lot of different services, such as like the Instagram questions, and I had a type form quiz on my website for the last month just to gather some information and analyze the data. So I have a pretty good idea of what it is that you guys want. And what really hurts my soul is knowing that so many people just hate their skin. They have a very low self-worth when it comes to what the reflection is showing them. And that just sucks, because we all deserve to just know we're badasses, and we all deserve to just feel really beautiful at all times. Hey, someone just asked, what is my esthetician website? Here's another thing that can get a little frustrating in terms of my nonstop DMs. Therapeutic Skin Coach. Like, that's my handle. It's also my website. It's also everything. Haley at Therapeutic Skin Coach. Well, we get nonstop DMs. How do I book? How do I do this? Where can I find it? Like, I would love to be able to just answer every single person that asks me how to book an appointment or where to find my website, but it's at the link in my bio. It's the same name throughout the board. And it's also just, if you look on my Instagram profile, there's a thing that says book. Like, you literally can book just from like where the pictures are at. And I get that my link in bio does have a lot of, it has a lot of links because I've been featured on some articles and some blogs, and I want people to get really excited about that too, because I feel like it's my duty to share that as well on my platform. But, it's, you know, to me, like, I think it's common sense to just look at that and like click on a link and, okay, well, this might not be the main page, but this is the website. Let me see the guide. I've, you know, crafted this guide on my website that's just the Therapeutic Skin Coach guide. It shows you where to book, you know, how to find my online series, my team, a little bit about me, some of my goodies page where you can find all the products that I talk about. There is my testimonials, the Therapeutic Skin Coach estheticians, and then when I have active events, there's the active events line there too. So just feel free, like, navigate it, look through it. I mean, that's kind of how I do it. If I like somebody and I like their Instagram, I go to their link in bio and I can usually find their website. And if it's not on there, I just type in their name on Google and lo and behold, there's their website. And if I can't find an email, I just look, you know, it's like 2 seconds of searching, because my social media manager, Erin, is constantly just in my DMs having to answer the same thing. And she's like so lovely and patient, and I love her to death, but like, her responsibility is not necessarily to answer things nonstop. It's to help grow my platform organically, help find partners, help, you know, navigate the weird world of social media that I don't know anything about, so that we can you know, go through, you know, I can expand and discover the people that need my support and help. So she's been really great with that, and she's been so patient with like all the navigations. But just go to the link in bio, click on there, and if you're not on like the main page, just click therapeuticSkinCoach.com, and there's a guide and it'll tell you every single thing that you need to go and see. So I get it. I mean, like, I think it's just, if you were to be in a call with my team and I, like, you would just laugh at me, because I'm like, why do I have to repeat myself so much? And it's like, I get it. People might just be joining the conversation, not know what I'm talking about. And, you know, I get people that find me through a lot of portals. So like, if they were just referred to me and they just get my phone number from a friend, like, I don't want somebody to just text me. It's my personal line. Like, go through the website, go through email. I have the help to support me in that, so I'm not just glued to my screens all the time. Because at the end of the day, when I'm still responding back to people, or I've missed things, like, it's really frustrating for me, because I can't keep up with a lot of it, and I have a team to help me, but they can't navigate all of my personal accounts. Like, they have to help, you know, they need a cutoff time at the end of the day themselves. So just keep that in mind. And especially if any of my like current clients are looking, like, stop giving my phone number away. Like, the few of you who do have it have had it because you've been with me since I started, where it was like simpler for me to text you. But many of you will know, like, I'm really bad at responding, because my phone needs to be used for so many other things that, like, I'm gonna respond back to my husband and just a few of my friends, and that's it. And even then, they don't usually get an immediate call. My husband gets really mad at me, because he's like, I tried calling you 6 times and like, you're not available. And I'm like, well, I'm in sessions, or I'm like using the phone for something else, so it's on do not disturb. Like, I'm just not gonna get a lot of that contact, and that sucks. Like, I should be able to like just get on the phone with my husband when he calls me. But I've had to set that boundary, and I've tried doing a Google Voice number. Trust me, I've tried, but that doesn't, it's like, then it's like portals through that and my personal phone number, because it's just been given out so much that I just had to like say no to all of it. But going back to having accrued some of that data, where I've just kind of decided and deciphered what people are seeking from me, you know, the platform is intended to help empower you. And through that, I have to feel empowered myself. And what I think was kind of like one of my main triggers as for the last few weeks is I was realizing that, you know, up until maybe a year ago, I couldn't afford a lot of those like extra education classes for me to add on these awesome services to my practice. So yes, like a lot of the things I'm doing now may seem trendy and fun and cool, but that's just because I just now am able to scrape a little bit more money to invest in these classes. And these classes aren't cheap. They're usually into the thousands, if not the several hundreds. And so I have to cap myself at a budget, and I've already capped it for the year. So for those of you who are like, are you going to start doing microcurrent? Are you going to start doing, whatever the new thing is? Like, no, I'm not, because I can only afford to do so much. And like, yeah, that's really cool that other estheticians can do it. And sometimes I wonder how they can afford it, but that's their story, that's their thing. And maybe I'm behind on some certifications, but that doesn't eliminate my experience, because I've been seeing people, touching people nonstop for 12 years. So that in and of itself has been the best education for me. And I keep all of my certifications up to date, and I keep everything, I do the education that I need to in order to sustain my license. But I have, for me to have done, for example, like my gua sha technique certification, I only did that in May. And so I've only been offering it as a treatment since May. Like, to me, it's like, I wish I was able to do that 5 years ago or 2 years ago or whenever it started to become popular. And I love that people trust me with that service to even ask about it. But if you really start to look, in past posts that I've even like talked about or when I got asked to be interviewed about it, I'm talking about a self-care practice. I'm not necessarily saying that I've been administering it this whole time. I've been really careful in how I bring that up. And also, it's like, I stay in my lane. I don't want to bring on way too many certifications and not be able to like know how to incorporate it into my treatment. So like, people who are like, you should get your nutrition certification, I'm like, I know a lot about nutrition, but I don't necessarily want to become a health coach nutritionist. I feel like there's enough people out there who will guide you with that. And I would hope that they would stay in their lane too. But it's just, with this influencer world of social media, it's really hard because people who don't have any licensure or any certifications are still getting paid by brands to talk about things. And that's just such an annoyance to me. I don't know how to navigate that, but I know that one of these days, like, it's gonna burst and people will come back to seeing experts who are licensed to, even speak on some of these topics. So that being said, I then also have created a secondary online course that is based off of what y'all have asked me to do, which is some of the skincare rituals that I have kind of cultivated and taught over the last several years, including in events and including with my one-on-one clients. And you see me just doing on social media stories and all of that. So to kind of like run down a little bit of the course of the online series, the skincare rituals, this is to help you navigate your practice and how to elevate it in between, facials, or just if you're starting to want to dive into some of your skincare practices and you want to elevate them because you're inspired, or you're just like looking to find a practice that makes you feel good. These 3 that I have on this new series can be purchased individually, like one video, or you can buy them as a whole series. And the 3 things are, first, my intentional cleansing practice, which like, you can look it up on YouTube, like how to cleanse your face. You can do all of that, but my intentional cleansing practice helps you not only learn how to cleanse properly, because people don't necessarily cleanse appropriately based off of whatever skin condition they have, or with the products that they have, they're not really sure how to take things off. Like, there's a lot of questions about that. So that intentional cleansing practice is really, really instrumental to setting the entire skincare regimen up for success. So then your skin, it finds this like beautiful like canvas that you can just then infuse all the vitamins and nutrients of the rest of your skincare for it to work optimally. Because if you don't have the cleansing part down, if you don't have your intentional cleansing part down, then yeah, you're gonna feel like you're just doing nothing and wasting product and wasting your time. But how I healed from my acne and how I heal from any skin condition that I struggle with is I take the time to assess my intention before I cleanse. So there is a meditation that is on there, and there's a guidance of sequence and what products I would suggest per condition. But then there's also some 5 intentional steps for you to do, as well as a video tutorial so you can literally follow along with the way I cleanse and the way I teach cleansing. So that to me is like, if you're gonna start anywhere, do that one, because cleansing is inevitable to your practice anyways. You're gonna want to do it regardless, and it'll tell you sort of how to do it in a way that's going to help you intuitively navigate all the products out there and how to kind of feel and tune back into what your skin is telling you, so that you know how to move forward with the rest of your day and also the rest of your practice. The reason why this is not just something I like show on YouTube and I'm ready to go is that the copy and the content that goes with it is also quite informational, because I discuss contraindications. I discuss certain, procedures that you might need to alter, kind of like how a yoga teacher will make alterations or modifications for a pose. Like, I'm able to do that within this practice. And so there's just a lot in there, and I feel like my time is valuable, that education is valuable, but I also wanted to make it somewhat affordable, because I know that not as many of you are able to afford my full big series, which I've also broken down into three sub-series too, which is intention, foundation, and integration. So if you're for that first series, the skincare, Skin Basics 101, where it's more like find the root of what's going on and determine how to help yourself from there with some actionable steps, like you can then take those a little bit more individually as opposed to purchasing the full thing, which might seem daunting for people to start with. Okay, so now going back to the second series, the second video, which I think is probably the practice that can change skin the most, because of my reflexology background. It is the Therapeutic Skin Coach facial massage. Now, this is something that you can do without tools, you can do without products, you can just do at your desk if you're feeling stressed out. The practice is really simple. It helps you connect with your breath, but it also helps you connect with what your skin's actually communicating. So in reflexology, there's so many points on the skin, and there's 43 plus muscles in the face. And if we're not really in tune with what our face is communicating with us, and we're not really like understanding why this point feels tender, or why this feels really good to press on, and like why this feels something, then you could be completely avoiding some really important information that your body is communicating with you. So that massage technique probably has the least amount of content in terms of like written notes, out of any of my series, because the video is so good. I'm walking you through how to do an intentional facial massage, which is a lot of just pressure points and movements to help with certain stressors, certain internal triggers, for what the nervous system will then communicate to the brain and help kind of massage and heal through the body. So I'm really, really excited for that one. And a couple of my team members have been doing it when, they're kind of stressed halfway through the day, have found an incredible result with it, where like a lot of things on their skin that were just kind of active or in balance are all of a sudden clearing up, and they're feeling so much more connected to themselves. So if you know how to cleanse, you feel really good, but you're looking to just kind of like implement a self-care practice that doesn't necessarily, like, you don't need to be at home to do, you just have to have clean hands to do it, that's the video for you. So that's the TSC facial massage. And then the last video that I created that's still a part of the series, and like I mentioned, you can buy them individually or all in a group, and I tried to make it super affordable for everybody. But the third one is my tools. Now, I love that everybody is so excited about these tools. I think that they're awesome. I talk about Guasa. I talk about two different multi-reflex tool, the 206, which is that yin yang roller, and then the 252, which is a different, I call it my foam roller because that's kind of how it feels like it treats my skin. So I walk you through who it's good for, how to use it, you know, the contraindications with it, if any, which there's really none, but please read them over in case. The materials it's made out of, how to source, you know, the right tool for yourself, how to navigate, you know, from point A to point B, like who it's going to be good for and why. So it's, you know, I love that there's so many awesome videos out there, but like, then I get people who come in and they're like, I bought this tool because I saw it on Instagram and this really cool person did this thing, and then I had this reaction from it. So there's a lot of that information in there to help prevent those things from happening. And also how to navigate if you want to do all of them at once, like how do you do that? You know, you really kind of only need to pick one at a time. So how do you navigate, you know, which one to use and why? So that one is really informative, and I love the way that the videos came out anyways. I think that they're really beautiful. I feel really proud of myself for being able to like speak to a camera that long. And I'm just like, I'm really proud of what they are. So they're my favorite skincare rituals to enhance my skin's health, to enhance my self-care, and then also to connect with myself. But like anything else, like I can just throw you with a tool, or I can throw you with a list of points to work on your face, but I want you to be able to know the depth of why this is important, and also to feel empowered if you are somebody that struggles with an imbalance, or if you are in a current condition where you're not sure if you're contraindicated or not. Like all of that information and that feedback is on there. So keep that in mind. I think that like there's just such great information on social media and on the internet, but if you want something that has a lot of intention and support with a lot of your questions answered, the video series, the skincare rituals, is that. So you can either buy each video individually for $25, or you can purchase them all together for $69. So you can look at the link in bio for that. And then there's also the original series, which is more like the foundation of like everything that could be a root cause of whatever for your skin and what to do from it. So that, to me, that skincare education is vital for your long-term health. But if you just want to start with the fun stuff, go ahead. Like I think that's a great way to do it. I also have an audio file, which is a cleansing meditation, which is in both of the series, but it's that walkthrough of how to like cleanse with intention. Just if you're feeling like whenever you're in your bathroom, you know, like looking at your stuff and about to wash your face, and you feel like kind of bad about yourself, or you're not really loving your skin, or you're not even really inspired to take that step for yourself, this will help guide you. It'll help kind of tune you back into the purpose and your why, and also walk you through how to like breathe and navigate, you know, the right atmosphere so that you get the result you're looking for. So moving forward, I am going to be doing my monthly newsletters. That's going to have a lot more information for you to navigate what I've already created. So it's going to be recycling some of that material in a way that's going to feel less daunting. And then it's going to have my monthly announcements, like any features I've been in, any events that are coming up, any last minute appointments, but then also like a new inspired themed blog or video or both. Because I love doing this so much, but I'm not going to be able to do it if it's just like me pumping out new stuff every week. And in terms of my intention with my practice, like I'm at a point now where like I can barely do 4 people a day, and I really am like trying to do 3. And I also would much rather have people invest in packages as opposed to just single facials here and there, because with the way that my practice works, like I can't have like a one night stand with you. I can't just like give you everything I have. Like we really do need to invest in a longer term relationship. So I'm working on that, making that transition, so that you can get the results you're actually looking for, and my information will hopefully just then sink in. So I'm super stoked. August is my birthday month, so like I kind of go through the up and down of feeling like really good about myself and also feeling really overwhelmed. Like, am I where I need to be in my life? And you know, I think having experienced a whole heck of a lot of grief earlier this year, I'm at a point where I know what's important to me and I know what I want, but I also know that I can't rush myself to get there. So, you know, I'm really like, sometimes I feel sort of these shadowy feelings of like, well, why didn't that client rebook with me? Or why don't I have a bigger place? Or why is my savings account like not as full as I would like it to be? And it's like, one day at a time, Haley, you got this. You know, you started your business kind of out of necessity and out of just sheer luck. And, you know, I don't understand why people still care and want to book with me sometimes, but I'm fortunate that they do, because apparently I have a gift of making people feel good about themselves when we align, and it's up to me to find that alignment within myself so that it can translate with whoever, whenever. So if I do take time off of social media, or if I am you know, taking a little bit more time responding in emails, it's just because like I want to be very present for you so that you can get the actual good stuff coming from me. And you know, I really am like super trying to expand my family. I want to get pregnant more than anything in this world, but like through that I've found all of these other things I need to work on first. And so I can relate to your skin journeys. I can relate to finding out the diagnosis of something and then that sort of trickling into like, oh, well, that's why I'm having this breakout. And like, it just feels so overwhelming. Like, I totally get it. I've been there. I am there. And I know that, you know, through that empathy, that empathetic feeling that I have, like, will only help you feel supported in your healing journey. So I have to make sure I have it on my own, and I have to like find, you know, other ways to structure the business so that I don't feel like I'm leaving anything behind, leaving anyone behind, but also not letting it sink into my own energy anymore, because I get really drained out, and that's not going to be a really good portal for a spirit baby to come in. So I feel like this is a good place to wrap up, which is surprising because like I'm not at the hour mark, I don't think. Let me check. Oh yeah, no, I am. I'm about 3 minutes out, so it's probably going to start timing me down, saying wrap it up in a minute. But I'm going to save this. It's going to be on Instagram for the next 24 hours, but then also I plan on doing more lives sooner rather than later. Oh, there goes the timer. 156, 155 remaining. But I'm also going to put it on my YouTube channel. So just look me up. I think it's just Haley Wood. I hate that it like wouldn't let me put Therapeutic Skin Coach as my name. I don't know why. If somebody knows how to do that, let me know. DM me with some of the common themes that you'd like to know. If you want to learn more about me, just look at the link in my bio. Visit my following platforms. I have YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook. I'm not really active on Twitter because Twitter really overwhelms me, and maybe one day, I don't know. But Instagram is obviously like my biggest platform, so I like to honor everybody there, but I might be able to navigate more, you know, in another live or on a different platform at some other time. But just also, if you have more questions, feel free. I have a check-in call feature on my offerings page where you can book a facial, but you can also just call me and we can have a 30-minute chat. It's really inexpensive, but like my time is worth a lot, so I can't just like be bombarded with emails and DMs. Like half the time it's going to be 2 other members of my team responding to you unless you see like my actual signature. So a lot of the DMs, like I just DM me your thoughts and then I can kind of create more content from there, but I'm not going to be able to like personally answer everything. So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any thoughts or feelings on this, just let me know. But I am glad to be doing this a little bit more, and hopefully we'll all find synchronicity in this soon. So happy rest of your August, and I'll be talking with you guys soon. Bye.